So you keep hearing the word digital transformation, right? What does it really mean? Digital transformation really applies to traditional enterprises from small. When you say small, you're talking about, let's say, for example, Pizza My Heart. It's a regional pizza chain in California, right? And to big and very large, right? Big could be very large could be McDonald's, for example, right? All of these companies must embark on a journey to build digital capabilities in order to survive and thrive, right? So so if you go back and think about Blockbuster, for example, right? It's a great brand. A lot of people still remember the brand Blockbuster, right, and what it stood for. Right? But unfortunately, they're an example of how they did not transform themselves into a digital world, right? So Netflix, which is a digital native, right? Basically, it was born during the internet era. They came in and they started doing DVD rentals online. That was the first business model that they came out with. Now, of course, the streaming service is very popular worldwide. So basically, that disrupted Blockbuster completely out of the market, right? So Blockbuster had a lot of trouble transforming into a digital enterprise, right? So just to go back and think about it, in the digital strategy model, the economic model is very important, right? So for Netflix to add an incremental subscriber and serve a new subscriber is near zero, apart from some operational costs, right? For companies like a brick and mortar like Blockbuster, where you have to actually have a location, there's significant overhead before you can even break even, right? So therein lies the difference in the economics. That's why you're talking about in the digital world, there's a radically different economics. Right? And interesting, if you look at Tesla, that's a very interesting model, right? Tesla's business model is built around their battery capability, right? Their technology capability. So their battery in the cars are able to push the limit on the number of miles one can drive, up to 250 miles, right, per charge. That's very, very important, because that's about the same as one full tank of gas in your car, right, for the entire week, pretty much, right? So it's pretty equivalent. So there was a very good business model there in terms of using battery instead of gas and achieving the same sort of outcome, right, which is 250 miles per charge, right, or per full tank, as in the case of other cars. So Tesla is a very good example of a modern digital company, right? And it uses high technology to look at battery capacity, battery charge levels, all of those through analytics. Analytics is another key capability that they have, right? So they have over probably 50 sensors, obviously, right, in their cars, and more can be added. And they sample data from every car that is sold, right? And they're able to find out how the vehicle is performing in different environments, right? Obviously, Tesla is being sold everywhere in the U.S., right? It's in Colorado, in Texas, in California, in Boston, New York, everywhere, right? So the environmental conditions under which these cars run and provides a lot of feedback to Tesla in order to design and innovate and even offer some interesting products down the road, right? Which we don't know about, but that's left to each company's strategy, right? So that's really the digital transformation comes from being able to pretty much enable your physical product or service, physical product that you're building or services that you're offering to enable them through digital technologies. That's really what is meant by digital transformation, right? Using digital technologies and digital capabilities and to survive and thrive and create a competitive advantage. So digital strategy, right? I mean, this word, this term is being thrown about by everyone, right? You read the newspaper, you read Wall Street You read a lot of blogs, articles, and so on. Everybody talks about digital strategy, right? So what are some of the attributes of what a digital strategy is, right? It's a creative application of digital technologies and data science to plan and execute for what I call as continuous competitive advantage, right? So your competitive advantage is not just it's continuous means real time, right? You want to take real time respond to real opportunities in real time, essentially, right? And that's what I mean by continuous competitive advantage. So you build your capabilities using real time, and so you can actually have a long-term competitive advantage if you have that fundamental core real-time capability. That is why I believe I discussed real-time as one of the key capabilities in the earlier slide. So digital strategy is always thinking about customers first, customer and user experience first, right? So everything starts from the customer or user experience. In digital business models, that is the only way it'll work best, right? So sometimes bottom-up approaches are good, but eventually it has to end up you have to end up with a product or service that thinks about the customer or user experience, right? You have to connect the dots first, right? So being able to look at customer and user experiences and then understanding what challenges they face can give you market opportunities. It allows you to assess their needs and challenges much more closely, much more granularly, and be able to come up with an offering, right? So this is very different from the old ways of thinking in terms of management, right? So mass merchandise goods, produce what you can make and then sell it, right? So everybody gets more or less the same product. But we are entering a digital era which is changing the entire landscape. This is because of digital five forces. This is the second digital five force that I am talking about, consumerization, that is changing how people buy, right? So we're going to talk about that in the Principles of Marketing course, right? And I'll also introduce the concept of paths to purchase in this module. So the second thing is acting on real-time insights, right? Having real-time data collection, for example, right? A lot of companies collect real-time data, but are they able to extract insights and then inform them in their strategy? That's another whole new ball game, right? Not every firm can do that because they are still understanding how to do it. So there are three parts to this. It's not just the data. It is also about the data science, how to apply that, and of course, how do you make data-driven decisions? This is the challenge, right? So even for digital natives, it has been a learning process for them as well, but they have learned basically by fire. There was no precursor or reference to go back to and say, okay, this is how we need to do this in order to perhaps be successful, right? So all of these new digital business processes were very different. They were all new. It was all invented primarily by the early adopters of the internet as the business platform. That's Amazon, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Yahoo, and eBay, and a whole bunch of others, right? Including Pandora, Spotify, and even Apple with iTunes, right? So being able to extract insights from the real-time data that you collected and use it for strategic, tactical, and operational decisions is part of your digital strategy. How you do that can differ from firm to firm. In fact, how these decisions are made between Uber and Lyft, which are in the same category, which is taxi service, right? Enabling taxi services. So they may differ in how they react to market opportunities, right? And there's no right or wrong answer here, but that's the thread, if you will, one of the threads that you can actually manipulate to leverage your digital strategy and drive superior outcomes for your company. What I mean by that is a lot of contextual references involved when you use real-time insights to drive your product or service, right? So the Lyft customers may be quite different from Uber customers in general, right? So the segments that they go after or that they serve may be very different. The mindset of or the emotional attachment to Lyft or Uber could be different. So and if you go into different parts of the world, the reaction to different taxi services would be very different, right? So if you go to China, there are other service providers who provide taxi service outside of Uber, right? The third thing is leveraging historical performance. So a part of the digital strategy is to how do you extract value from past learnings, essentially, right? And you have to look at historical performance to inform and predict your future performance. How well you do that is also part of your digital strategy, right? And it varies from firm to firm, right? Even among the same digital firms, digital natives, they are also still learning a lot from this, right? And this is a constant learning experience, if you will, right? And then the fourth thing is being able to capture market opportunities as fast as possible, right? That should be part of your digital strategy, right? If you do not, your competition is going to do it, because if they have better real-time insights and better real-time data collection capabilities than you do, you lose, right? So it's remember, in the world of digital, and remember, consumerization means that customers like you and me have a choice. We are just one click away from the competition, if you will, right? If you don't get a ride request from Uber within a few seconds, minutes, less than a minute, you will probably go and get a taxi service from somebody else, right? That's who we are as people. That's what we expect these days, right, in the digital world. So these are market opportunities, one customer at a time or one ride request at a time in this context of Uber and Lyft that I'm talking about, to just illustrate the point, right? It's not to compare or challenge Uber and Lyft strategies, but I'm just using that as a reference to explain what we are talking about here, right? So the last but not the least, these digital strategy involves how you can adjust and innovate very quickly to address customer and user needs, right? Again, these are all of these 5 things or 5 attributes of a digital strategy, if you want to call it that, are intertwined with each other, right? So you can adjust and innovate very quickly if you understand customer needs. You can understand customer needs if you always think about customer and user experiences first, and then you are able to draw real-time insights for you to make important decisions, strategic, tactical, or operational. And then, of course, you are going to go back and look at your historical, what happened last time, right, to a similar promotion last time in the last Super Bowl, right? What do we do in this Super Bowl? What do we do different in this Super Bowl, for example, right? So this is a whole closed loop strategy, if you will. Closing the loop on all of these, they are all highly intertwined, these attributes, and they close the loop, essentially. You adjust and innovate constantly. So this is a digital strategy is not a set point, if you will. It constantly changes, okay? And it comes from the creative application of digital technologies and data science to plan and execute. I'm going to reiterate that because that's very, very important. And these are the 5 elements of strategy, digital strategy, that one should focus on.